You know what happens when you're the last person at a house party and suddenly realise everyone else coupled up and left? That moment when you're holding a warm beer, looking at empty pizza boxes, understanding that you've been abandoned without anyone saying a word. That's the exact feeling most men live with every day in their relationships, abandoned while she's still sitting right next to them. Today, I'm giving you the verbal nuclear codes that will flip this dynamic instantly. But here's the thing. These words are so powerful, so devastating to the female ego, that most of you will be too scared to ever use them. And that's exactly why you'll stay stuck in the same miserable loop forever. I've seen it countless times. A man walks into a relationship standing tall, full of confidence, his own person. 6 months later, he's asking permission to see his own friends. A year later, he's apologising for breathing too loud. 2 years, he doesn't even remember who he was before her. She's managed to completely reprogram him, and the sickest part is he thinks this is love. He thinks this constant walking on eggshells, this endless need for her approval, this suffocating control. He thinks this is what relationships are supposed to be, but let me tell you what's really happening. Every time she tests you and you fail, every time she pushes and you bend, every time she threatens and you beg, you're not saving the relationship, you're killing it. You're murdering her attraction one weak response at a time. Because deep in her DNA, deeper than any feminist ideology or modern relationship advice, she needs you to be stronger than her. And every time you prove you're not, a little piece of her love dies. The crown I'm talking about isn't just metaphorical. You can actually see it in how she walks, how she talks to you, how she looks at you, or more accurately, how she looks through you. Like you're not even there. Like you're furniture that occasionally dispenses money and validation. And the bigger that crown gets, the smaller you become, until eventually you're nothing more than a servant in her kingdom, and she's disgusted by what you've let yourself become. As you probably heard, there's this thing called the shit test paradox. Women test men to see if they're strong, but the very act of constantly testing actually weakens most men over time. It's like erosion. Each test takes away a little bit of your backbone until there's nothing left but a hollow shell that says yes, dear, to everything. And here's the kicker. She hates you for it. She hates that you've become weak, even though her tests are what weakened you. She hates that you fail, even though she set you up to fail. She hates what you've become, even though she created it. You know what happens when you're standing in line at the DMV for 3 hours? You start to accept that misery is just part of the process. That's exactly what happens in relationships. Men get so used to the constant testing, the manipulation, the drama, that they think this is normal. They think every man goes through this. They look at other couples and assume behind closed doors every guy is getting the same treatment. Wrong, dead wrong. Some men figured out the code. Some men learned the words that shut this down cold. So let's get into the weapons. The first phrase that absolutely destroys a woman's ego, and you need to pay attention because this one cuts deep, is telling her she's ordinary. Not in a mean way, not in an angry way, but in a matter-of-fact way. You know, when we met, I thought you were different, special. But you're just like every other woman I've known. Same insecurities, same games, same drama. You're completely predictable. The reason this devastates women is because every woman believes she's the exception. She's not like other girls. She's unique. She's different. She's the special one who's going to be different in your life. When you casually inform her that she's just another actress, playing the same tired role, reading from the same script every other woman uses, something fundamental breaks in her self-perception. There was this case outside a restaurant, couple arguing. She's going off about how he doesn't appreciate her uniqueness, how he doesn't see how special she is. And this guy, calm as a lake, just says, "Special? You're doing exactly what my ex did. Word for word. It's like you all have the same playbook." She went silent. Not quiet, silent. Like her brain couldn't process what just happened. Because for the first time, someone held up a mirror and showed her she wasn't the star of her own movie. She was just an extra in everyone else's. The second weapon, and this one is perhaps even more powerful, is showing complete indifference to her leaving. She threatens to walk out. You hold the door open. She says she needs space. You say, "Take all the time you need, I've got plans anyway." She mentions her ex is texting her. You say, "That's nice, maybe you two can work things out." You see, every threat she makes is based on one assumption, that you're terrified of losing her. The moment you show not just acceptance but preference for her leaving, her entire reality crumbles. It's like she's been playing poker thinking she has a royal flush, and you just showed her you weren't even playing the same game. This happened to someone who tried the classic manipulation. I think we should see other people. You know what this usually is, right? She wants you to fight for her, to prove your commitment, to beg her to reconsider. Instead, he said, I think that's a brilliant idea. In fact, there's someone I've been wanting to ask out. Thanks for making this easy. The look on her face? Priceless. She literally stammered, trying to take it back, suddenly explaining how she didn't really mean it, how she was just testing to see if he cared. The third thing that shatters a woman's crown, her sexual self-image. Every woman believes her sexuality is her superpower. It's the ace up her sleeve, the nuclear option, the thing that makes her irreplaceable in your life. When you casually, almost dismissively, indicate that sexually she's nothing special, just average, maybe even below average, the psychological impact is like a nuclear bomb going off in her ego. You don't say this crudely. You don't say it to hurt. You say it as a simple observation. Honestly, the physical part of our relationship has always been just, okay, I've had much more passionate connections, but that's fine. Not everyone can be exceptional in that area. Then you continue whatever you were doing, like you just commented on the weather. Watch what happens. She won't respond immediately. She'll go quiet, processing what just happened. Because you just took her ultimate weapon and told her it's a toy gun. You just took what she thought was her strongest card and revealed it's actually a 2 of clubs. And unlike other insults that she can deflect or rationalize, this one sticks because deep down, every woman fears she might actually be ordinary in bed. But here's what most men get wrong. They think these are attacks. They're not. They're responses. They're antibiotics for a relationship infected with manipulation. You don't use antibiotics when you're healthy. You don't use these weapons when things are good. You use them when she's been wielding her own weapons against you, when she's been using manipulation, threats, and emotional terrorism to control you. There's another element nobody talks about, the comparison game. Women constantly compare their relationships to others. They see their friend's boyfriend buying expensive gifts, and suddenly you're not romantic enough. They see some couple on social media and suddenly your relationship is boring. But here's what destroys them when you flip the comparison. You know, Jake's girlfriend never complains about guys' nights. Sarah never threatens to leave when she doesn't get her way. Maybe I picked the wrong type of woman. Watch how quickly she stops comparing when the comparison doesn't favour her. Let me tell you about the agreement method, because this one breaks women's brains completely. She makes a statement designed to hurt you, to make you defensive. Maybe I should just find someone who appreciates me. The weak man's response. No, baby, I appreciate you. Please don't leave. The strong man's response. You know what? You're absolutely right. You deserve someone who makes you happy, and clearly that's not me. I'll help you pack. She says you're not a real man? Agree. You're right. A real man wouldn't tolerate this behaviour. Thanks for pointing that out. She says the spark is gone? I've been feeling the same way. We should probably end this before we waste more of each other's time. The agreement method works because women's attacks are rarely actual statements. They're tests disguised as declarations. When you agree instead of defending, you break the entire framework of the test. It's like someone throwing a punch expecting resistance, but you step aside and let them fall face first into their own momentum. You probably heard about this. Video went viral on social media. Woman berating her man in public, saying he's pathetic, he's weak, he's not what she thought he was. And this guy, instead of arguing, just nods and says, "You're absolutely right. I am pathetic for putting up with this. That changes today." Then he literally just walked away. Left her standing there in the middle of the mall. The comments were full of women saying he was wrong to abandon her, but also full of men saying it was the first time they'd seen someone handle it perfectly. Here's something else that destroys the female ego. Showing you're happier without her. When she leaves expecting you to fall apart, but instead you thrive. You don't chase. You don't call. You don't text paragraphs about how much you miss her. Instead, you live. And not just live, you live better. You're suddenly doing all those things she said were immature. You're seeing those friends she said were bad influences. You're pursuing those hobbies she called waste of time. She expected her absence to be your punishment. Instead, it becomes your vacation. She thought she was the sun in your solar system. Instead, she realizes she was just clouds blocking your light. This creates what psychologists call an existential crisis. Her entire self-worth was built on being essential to your happiness, and you just proved she was actually preventing it. As you might have heard, this pattern is so predictable it's almost scientific. Woman leaves dramatically, expecting the man to chase. Man doesn't chase, starts posting pictures of him genuinely enjoying life. Woman suddenly has an emergency that requires his help. Man doesn't respond. Woman shows up at his place to get her things that she doesn't actually need. Man is polite but distant. Woman suddenly wants to talk about us, every single time, like clockwork. You know what happens when you truly understand female psychology? You realise they're playing a game they don't even know they're playing. It's not calculated, it's instinctive, like a bird building a nest or a spider spinning a web. They create these elaborate emotional traps not because they're evil, but because it's their nature. And just like you wouldn't get angry at a scorpion for stinging, that's what scorpions do. You shouldn't get angry at women for testing, that's what women do. But here's the difference. Unlike the scorpion, women actually want you to avoid the sting. They want you to be smart enough, strong enough, aware enough to not fall for it. Every test is secretly a plea. Please be strong enough that I don't have to be. Every manipulation is actually a prayer. Please see through this so I can finally respect you. There was this psychological study done in Stockholm where they monitored couples during conflict. They found that when men maintained emotional stability during female emotional outbursts, the women's stress hormones actually decreased faster than when men tried to comfort them. Think about that. Her biology literally calms down when you don't react to her chaos. Her body is telling her, finally a man who won't break. You know what's the most powerful position in any relationship? It's not being the one who loves more or less, it's being the one who needs less. When you genuinely don't need her approval, her validation, her presence to feel complete, that's when you become irreplaceable. Because everyone else she's been with needed something from her, you're the first one who doesn't. I've observed this phenomenon where men think showing vulnerability will bring them closer to their woman. They cry about their struggles, share their fears, open up about their insecurities, and what happens? She loses attraction faster than ice melting in hell. Not because women are cruel, but because you just showed her that the protector needs protection. The rock she wanted to lean on is actually made of sand. This happened to someone who decided to open up to his girlfriend about his depression. Within 2 weeks, she was texting her ex. Within a month, she was gone. Later, she told a mutual friend, I just couldn't see him as a man anymore after that. Harsh? Yes. Reality? Also, yes. Women don't want to be your therapist. They want to be with someone who has their shit together enough that they can fall apart when they need to. You know what happens when you master the art of emotional indifference? Something magical. She starts working to impress you. She starts trying to earn your validation. She starts putting in effort she hasn't shown in years. Why? Because for the first time in the relationship, she's not sure she has you. For the first time, she has something to lose. For the first time, you're a prize instead of a given. There's this thing I call the mirror method. Whatever energy she gives you, you reflect it right back. She's cold and distant. You're colder and more distant. She's disrespectful. You're dismissive. She threatens to leave. You've already left emotionally. It's not about being petty or playing games. It's about showing her that you'll match her energy, and if she wants to play stupid games, she'll win stupid prizes. As you might have noticed, women have this incredible ability to rewrite history. Suddenly, everything you've ever done for her never happened. All the sacrifices, all the compromises, all the times you put her first, erased from memory. But the one time you said no, that's carved in stone forever. This is why defending your past actions is pointless. She's not operating in reality, she's operating in feelings. And in her feelings, you've always been the villain and she's always been the victim. The real power move, though, is not just acting happy without her, it's genuinely being happy without her. Because when you truly don't need her, when you genuinely prefer your life without her drama, without her games, without her constant tests, that's when everything changes. That's when the crown doesn't just fall off, it disappears entirely. But here's what nobody tells you about these weapons. They're not really weapons at all. They're truth. You're not lying when you say she's replaceable. She is. There are literally billions of women on this planet. You're not pretending when you don't fear loss. Why would you fear losing someone who makes your life worse? You're not faking when you're happier without her. You actually are happier without constant conflict and manipulation. The problem is most men have been so brainwashed by romantic comedies and love songs that they think suffering equals love. They think if it doesn't hurt, it's not real. They think jealousy is passion, control is care, manipulation is investment. They've been programmed to believe that a relationship should be hard work, constant sacrifice, endless compromise. But here's the truth. A relationship with the right person is easy. It flows. It adds to your life instead of subtracting from it. You know what happens when a man discovers his wife has been talking badly about him to all her friends for years? Calling him weak, boring, saying she could do better? Most men confront and get gaslighted, told they're being too sensitive, that it was just girl talk. But there was this one case where the guy said, "You're right, you could do better, and I definitely can. Let's both upgrade." Filed for divorce the next day. She spent the next 6 months trying to win him back, suddenly becoming the perfect wife she never was when she had him. That's the pattern. They only value what they might lose. They only respect what doesn't need them. They only want what walks away. It's not conscious manipulation. It's deeper than that. It's biological. It's evolutionary. It's the same reason a cat loses interest in a toy that doesn't move but goes crazy for one being pulled away. The agreement method extends beyond just verbal responses. When she creates drama, you don't engage with the drama. You agree it's too much and remove yourself. When she plays games, you don't play back. You agree games are childish and find someone mature. When she withholds affection, you don't beg for it. You agree the relationship lacks intimacy and seek it elsewhere or nowhere at all. You have to understand something fundamental. Women are constantly looking for the boundaries. Where are your limits? What can they get away with? How much control can they take? It's not even conscious most of the time. It's like water finding its level. And if you have no boundaries, if you have no limits, if you give unlimited control, the water floods everything and destroys it all. Every man thinks his situation is unique. You don't understand. She's different. Our relationship is complicated. We have history, number. Your situation is not unique. Your woman is not different. Your relationship is not complicated. You're just another man who's been broken down by the same tactics that have been used for thousands of years. The only difference is whether you wake up to it or stay asleep. You want to know something interesting? The words women fear hearing from men are actually the words they desperately need to hear. Because a woman with an unchecked ego, with a crown so big she can't see past it, with control so complete she has nothing left to conquer, that woman is miserable. She's bored. She's unfulfilled. She's wondering why she feels so empty when she has everything she thought she wanted. When you knock off that crown, when you refuse to play the games, when you stand up and reclaim your backbone, you're not just saving yourself, you're saving her too. From herself, from the monster that unlimited power creates, from the misery of being with a man she can't respect. But most men won't do it. They'll watch this video, they'll nod along, they'll even agree with everything I'm saying. Then they'll go right back to saying yes dear and walking on eggshells and dying a little more each day. Because it's easier. Because it's familiar. Because they're more afraid of conflict than they are of losing themselves. You know what happens when men have been so broken they don't even remember what self-respect feels like? They apologize preemptively. They fail tests without recognizing them as tests. They think manipulation is normal. They come up with 1,000 excuses. I don't want to hurt her feelings. Brother, she doesn't care about your feelings. I don't want to lose her. You already have. I don't want to be alone. You already are. You're just alone with someone else in the room. The truth is, using these words, implementing these strategies, standing up for yourself, it's not about being mean. It's not about being an asshole. It's about being real. It's about being honest. It's about finally telling the truth in a relationship built on lies and manipulation. When you tell her she's not special, you're telling the truth. She isn't. When you show you don't fear losing her, you're being honest. Why would you fear losing something that causes you pain? When you're happier without her, you're just acknowledging reality. Of course you're happier without constant conflict. These words women fear, they're not weapons of destruction. They're tools of construction. They're building blocks for either reconstructing your current relationship on a foundation of respect or building a new life without someone who doesn't deserve you. The choice is yours. You can keep living in fear, keep walking on eggshells, keep shrinking yourself to fit under her ever-growing crown. Or you can speak the words she fears but needs to hear. You can show the indifference she dreads but secretly craves. You can become the man she tests you to be instead of the boy who fails every test. I'll leave you with this thought. Every woman's biggest fear isn't that you'll leave her. It's that you'll stay but stop needing her. That you'll be there physically but gone emotionally. That you'll look at her and feel nothing. Not anger, not love, not hate, just nothing. Because that's when she knows her power is truly gone. That's when the crown doesn't just fall off, it ceases to exist. The red button is in front of you. Push it, and tomorrow you wake up as a man who says what needs to be said, regardless of her reaction. Or don't push it, and spend the rest of your life as an extra in her one-woman show, forgetting you were supposed to be the star of your own life. Remember, she doesn't fear losing you. She fears you not fearing losing her. She doesn't fear you leaving. She fears you staying but not caring. She doesn't fear your anger. She fears your indifference. And she doesn't fear your words. She fears your truth. Use these words wisely. Use them sparingly. But when the time comes, when the manipulation has gone too far, when the crown has grown too large, when your self-respect is on life support, use them without hesitation, without apology, without mercy. Because the only thing worse than being the man who speaks the words women fear is being the man who was too afraid to speak them.